ਆਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ। ਹੇ ਅਜਿਤ ਸੂਰ ਸੰਗਰਾਮੰ ਅਤ ਬਲਨਾ ਬਹੁ ਮਰਦਨਹਿ ਗਣ ਗੰਧਰਵ ਦੇਵ ਮਾਨੁਖਯੰ ਪਸ ਪੰਖੀ ਬੇਮੋਹਨੈ ਹਰ ਕਰਣ ਹਾਰੰ ਨਮਸਕਾਰੰ ਸ਼ਰਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਜਗਦੀਸ਼ਵਰੈ ਹਰ ਕਰਣ ਹਾਰੰ ਨਮਸਕਾਰੰ ਸ਼ਰਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਜਗਦੀਸ਼ਵਰੈ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, we'll just listen to ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ's ਪਾਵਨ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਬਾਣੀ of Salok Sehaskriti, and that was number 45, the slok that we just all listened to, the 45th slok. In this slok, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah Ji, they put us on full alert. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah is put on the warning lights for us. They're saying there's a great warrior out there, and ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ hey ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਜਿਤ, they speaking directly to this, you can call this a great soldier in this, on the battleground, in this war. You can call that one, you can call that entity what? A great warrior on this battlefield. And who is that? Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah talking directly to that warrior, directly to that soldier, saying, hey ajit. Ajit means sangat ji jera jitan to rehtya. So jit means to have victory. So ajit means somebody that is invincible. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah Ji is saying that, hey ajit, listen, oh you soldier, that is soor. Soor coming from the word surma, meaning somebody that is a great warrior. Kende sangramang, kende in this battle. Which battle are they talking about, and which surma is Guru Arjan Dev Ji Sache Paatshah Ji is talking about? This here, Sangat Ji, the surma, the ajit, the invincible, is attachment. Attachment is like this great huge warrior that gets hold of nearly everyone. How much ever population there is, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah say not only just human beings, even the gods, even the animals. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah saying that warrior doesn't spare anyone, it's that strong. Paatshah Ji then they say, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੇ ਅਜਿਤ ਸੂਰ ਸੰਗਰਾਮੰ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਤ ਬਲਣਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਤ ਦਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ, ਅਤ means ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ, that at means so much. Balana comes from the word bal meaning strength. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ this surma, this warrior is so strong, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah is saying. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਹੁ ਮਰਦਨ ਹੈ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਹੁ ਮਰਦਨੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ comes from the word mard meaning that one that crushes entire armies. Kende, that's how great this surma, this warrior is, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah Ji saying. Then they say that this surma, it hasn't spared, this attachment, it hasn't spared anyone. They said whether it be gan sangat ji means, is referring to those that are the servants of the gods. So Gan Sangaji, there was somebody called Shivagana. Shivagana is a servant of Shivaji, the god of destruction. Sangaji, and then you've got Yamagana as well. Yamagana Sangaji is the servant of Yamraj, of that judge, the righteous judge. So Sangaji, basically, it's not about going into the nitty-gritty. There's two ways I could have done this. I could have actually looked into their lives, these servants of these gods, and then could have looked into Gandharab. Gandharab, Sangaji, are those that sing in those heavenly worlds, that sing in the court of Indra Devta, that are so learned of rags. Dev meaning the actual gods themselves, the likes of Indra Devta. Sangaji, but then Manukyang and human beings pass here, talking about animals, Panki, the birds. Bemohane means to entice. Guru Arjun Dev Ji Pachi saying that attachment has gotten hold of, whether it be the Ganas, the Gandharvas, the Devs, the Manuks, the Pasa, the Panki, whether it be these servants of these gods, whether it be Gandharv, these people that have got these beautiful voices that entice people, that sing in the court of Indra Devta. And I thought it would be a lot better to go through this in a way that we can actually relate to what Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pachi is saying. So what can it mean for us of bringing all these people on that level and using them as Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pachi, using it as poetry and looking at it in the sense of how we can relate to a Gana, to a servant of somebody that is so spiritual, Gandharv. So how can we relate to these things? So Sangaji, pehli gal, the first thing that is very important for us to do is to actually look at ke ida subha keho je aaya. What is this attachment actually like? Because often what happens is we're not able to recognize these things. We don't even know what they are. And why would Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji give us that energy inside that creates attachment? So two things that are very important for us to look at. One thing is that why have we been given it? And then does it actually have a purpose? If it does have a purpose, what is its purpose? And when is it? Then it actually becomes a chor, when it becomes a thief, like Maharaji has says that these are thieves. So just like Guru Sahib Ji has told us in Gurbani, that kende is dehi andar panch chor vas hai, kaam, krodh, lobh, moh, hankara. So over here we're talking about the moh, the fourth one. So Guru Sahib Ji says they're all inside of us. And what is the whole purpose of having, where this attachment comes from? Where is that, and what is that energy? What is it all about? So Sangaji, the energy, let's look at it as a neutral energy where attachment stems from. Does it hold any purpose, that energy, that neutral energy? Does it hold any purpose for survival? Yes, it does. Otherwise, it wouldn't be inside of us. It's got a purpose, and the purpose of that is for example, a mother has given birth to a child. If that mother doesn't have any of that energy inside of her, where attachment is born out of, where attachment comes from. Attachment is attachment. Can attachment be positive in any form of way? The simple answer is no. And even though that those of you that may have studied psychology or may have even studied and gone into social work, whatever your field might be, and one of the things that you may have gone through and studied is, so an area that you would have had to cover is this positive attachment. And what it is, that I'm sure that what is taught within that, there is a sense of what they're talking about is, yes, positive, but the word itself, attachment, in Gurbani is not positive. Yes, the energy that it comes from. So why is that energy needed? a mother's given birth to a child. If that energy was not inside of her, then that mother wouldn't care for that child. That mother wouldn't have no connection and even feel the need. The mother would think, you know what, I need to get on with my life and do what I need to do. Like, forget that. Because of that energy inside, that mother is able to nurture that child and embrace that child and look after that child's well-being. That mother is able to embrace that child and feed that child. Because of that energy where attachment comes from. To be able to take care of someone. To be able to look out for someone. To be able to protect someone. To be able to even care enough for someone to be able to then actually give them food because they need that food to be nurtured. It comes from that energy, Sangat Ji. But that when that very energy gets a hold of us, so even now, if there was no form of where attachment comes from, if that energy wasn't there, I don't want to call it attachment, because it's attachment in Gurbani. Maharaj Ji has called it a thief. They said that it's a dehi andar panch chor vasa, kaam krodh lobh moh ahankara. Because jeda cheez, something that is a chor, unne changa thodo karna. Look what Pacha Ji is saying here. They're talking about it in this light, that it hasn't spared anyone, and it comes like this, such a strong force and a warrior that takes hold of us. If there was not, that energy wasn't inside of us, because people say, then why is it given to us? And then they will say that, how can you believe in God? How can you believe in the existence of somebody that would put such things inside of you? Isn't that a really cruel God? What type of God is that? And that's why, because we don't have that understanding of something, the wisdom of it, and some people that are then convinced, thinking, oh, that's true. That's a bit raw, isn't it? Why would God do that to me? Like, if God's meant to be so compassionate, so loving, then why would God put me in that net and entanglement of that attachment? Because if that wasn't there, then I wouldn't be able to take care of my body. If that level of energy wasn't there, then I wouldn't care for this body whatsoever at all. And then I wouldn't look after it even to the point of thinking that I need to make sure, protect it, that it doesn't get hurt. That I actually want to keep this body because it serves such a huge purpose. So the reason behind it, why that's been put inside of us, is very important. But when that energy goes out of control and then it gets a hold of us, that's when it becomes a problem. When it actually comes in the way of us living our life, and we're not able to function and live this life because now it has got a grip of us. That's when it now starts to cause issues and a problem. To such an extent that I start to become so attached to this body that I start to now live in fear of death, live in fear of losing it, start to live in fear of getting any form of disease, anything happening to it, become so attached to youth, becoming so attached to somebody's wherever they are in their life, Sangaji, and then getting so attached to the way you look, and then being so afraid of not losing the way you look because you're attached to this image. And then as that image starts to change, it starts to affect you mentally, because you're not able to live in that acceptance, because now it's become unhealthy. Now from being something, an energy that helps me to take care of myself, yes, to look out for myself if my skin's drying out too much, and it could start becoming a problem, an eczema where my skin might start to flake off. I'm just giving you any random examples here. And there's that energy inside me enough for me to take care of that and to actually apply something to it, to apply some oil or whatever it might be. But if that wasn't there, provide nahi si honi, we would become so careless. And then we become so attached, then we're thinking that, oh wow, but there's an opposite to that as well. Somebody is afraid of losing their faith, their youth, and changing the way they look because they're attached to how they look now at present. And so many people go through so much issues due to these reasons. People are so afraid of actually aging. But then there's those as well, because Vaheguru Ji, like Bhagat Farid Ji say, get into the avastha of joban jande, na dara. Jai Shah Preet na jaye. Bhagat Farid Ji say, kende joban jande na dara. Kende, if my youth goes, I've got no fear. So that means I'm not attached to it. Kende joban jande na dara. Why? Because as long as Jai Shah Preet na jaye, as long as I've got my love for Vaheguru Ji, then it doesn't matter. Because Sachi Preet Hum Tumse O Jori, Tumse O Jor Avar Sang Tori. And the Sachi Preet Hum Tumse O Jori. Because now I've attached true love, Tumse, to that one. Tumse O Jori. The one that is what is Jararang Namastang Jararang. Just this morning, this word really stuck out. And had this little discussion, just a little talk about what this word means with the family. And was saying that, what is this? And what this word means is, it's two words. It comes from the word jara. Jara means old age. And then it comes from the word arang. So the added, obviously the tipi is there, Sanskrit. So it's saying that, so it's two words, jara and then ar. Jara means old age, and then ar Sangaji means enemy. So the actual translation to this word is that Jararang, meaning that Vaheguru Ji is an enemy of old age. And what does that actually mean? Meaning that old age doesn't come to Vaheguru Ji. And when we actually realize that our true self, the Atma that is residing inside of us, does not actually age, it remains still and it's stable, then there's no fear because it's unchanging. That ota achal murat anpau prakash amit toj kihije. Kende to ota jiri murat ya kende ota kende anpau prakash ota prakash rupya. It's this light. That is what is anpau prakash. That light is achal murat. That one, that Vaheguru Ji is the image of achal that does not move. Move meaning, kende na Punjabi which, again, some of these, it's so difficult to find the perfect word to describe these in English sometimes. And Punjabi which kende oh chal vasya bichara. Chal vasya bhav hunda when somebody passes, is gone now. He's left his body. But Vaheguru Ji does not get old, because Vaheguru Ji is the enemy of old age, because Vaheguru, that nirakar srupa Vaheguru Ji does not age. Sangat Ji said, so for that reason, now oh mare, na hove sog. That now ne marna na, there's no sorrow there. But somebody, never mind the death of somebody, but people, as their appearance actually starts changing, they start to fear. They start because of the attachment to that. So Sangat Ji, attachment is that when we are not able to accept something that is going to change, something that is not going to remain, and is living in fear of wanting to hold on to that. Sangat Ji, there's many ways of looking at Gurbani. And when we look at the words of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, Jo nar dukh mein, dukh nahi mane, sukh snehar pੈ nahi jaaka, kanchan mati mane. Sangat Ji, if we look at this, Jo nar, those nar means is referring to us, human beings. Jo nar dukh main in the midst of pain dukh nahi manna. Sangat ji, that isn't afflicted by whatever challenges have come to them in their life. They don't actually perceive it to be suffering. But the part I want to focus on is the next part. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Paatshi say to us, kende sukh sneh ar bhai nahi jaake. These all now have got such a connection with each other. So here it's translated as who is not affected by pleasure, and that being the sukh here. And then the word sneh means attachment, but the word sneh here isn't actually translated. If you look carefully, look, pleasure is the sukh, and then they've translated affection or fear. And so what they've done is sneh, they've translated to affection actually, so it's not missed out. That kind of threw me, the way it said affection or fear. And I would have thought affection and fear would have probably made more sense, because it's not an option here. So it actually doesn't make sense to put it that way, or should have just had a comma there. Affection, fear, and then Sangat ji, so sukh sneh ar bhai nahi jaake. But we're not going to look at it like this. And Mahapurkh done an amazing arth of this. Sangat ji, and ekagra hoke follow this. This sums up attachment for us. Can there somebody that has got sukh in their life? Can there, when somebody has got kirpa on them, when Vaheguru Ji blesses them with the true way of how to live? When we look at the last pangti, Nanak leen pyo gobind syo jo pani sang pani, but they're saying that one emerges back with Vaheguru Ji, that has the kirpa of how to live from their Guru. So if you look at the pangti before, Guru Tegh Bahadur say kende gur kirpa jeh nar kau kini. Kende gur kirpa, kende with the Guru's grace, what happens? Jeh nar kau kini. If the Guru showers that person, their Sikh, with their grace, kirpa, with their shakti, with their power, because grace actually, kirpa is power, a power that we have not got inside of us, a bal, a strength that we have not got inside of us, but the Guru instills that shakti, that power inside of us. Of what here? Kande tehe jugat pachani. They're saying that if the Guru gives them that power to be able to do what? Jugat meaning the way. This way of living. On what way? Who actually recognize, meaning come to realize this way of living. They are the ones that have merged back in Vaheguru Ji. What way of living is that? That way is this. Sukh sneh ar bhai nahi jaake sukh sneh. Sangat ji here is saying, those that have got the kirpa of the Guru, those Sangat ji that the Guru has shown how to live. How is it? What is the highest way of living? How do we live? Where we are liberated, we live like this. Sukh sneh ar bhai, meaning that whatever sukh we have got in our life, whatever pleasures we are enjoying in our life, because there's nothing wrong with enjoying the pleasures of life. We are here to experience life. We're not here to run away from the pleasures of life. Absolutely not. That's why Paatji say to us that Je Prasad, Rang Ras Bhog, only with Vaheguru Ji's grace that we do that. So Paatji saying in the Je Prasad Rang Ras Bhog, it's with Vaheguru Ji's grace that we actually enjoy the different colours, the pleasures of this life. So coming back, Sukh sneh bhai nahi jaake. Somebody apne zindagi de vich to sukh hai, whatever sukh, whatever pleasure that is for you Sangat ji, for me Sangat ji, in their life, that will be different. So coming back to Sukh sneh ar bhai nahi jaake. That sukh for somebody could be their child. It could be the little child, their little baby. That could be their joy of life. That is their ras of life. That is the juice of their life. That is the pleasure. That's what gives them pleasure in life. Sukh that child does. And some parents, they'll just sit there staring at their children. Nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful to see that light of God. Sangaji, sometimes I think in my mind that, you know, when you see a human being at different stages, as a bal, as a baby, and then growing up as a toddler, and then growing out of being a toddler and then being a child, it's like almost watching that the form of God, Sargun Swarup of Rab, going through these different stages. That watching the play of that one. Because remember, Vaheguru Ji said that, Guru Sahib Ji said to us, that what you are looking at is actually jo dise so tera roop hai. Whatever you're looking at is actually the image of God. And we can I sometimes love watching jo dise so tera roop. And I sometimes just love watching Vaheguru Ji at different stages through a human being. Looking at them through a child. And then looking at them through a baby, a child. Sangat Ji, and it's always a lot easier to look at Vaheguru Ji in a child. Sukh Saneho, so whatever your pleasure is in your life, for somebody, most of the time, what they get attached to is that pleasure, the pleasure that their child gives to them. Bacha Ji saying here, Sukh Saneho. Kende, the way to live this life, the highest way to live this life, if we got Guru's Kirpa, is what? Is not to have nahi jaake, nahi, where there is no sane. Where there is no sane literally means love. And we can mold that to attachment. Where there is no attachment to the sukh that you've got. Sangaji, that's what it means to be in Saj. That's what it means to just Pani Sangapani, to be with Vaheguru. So you've got the sukh, but there's no sane, nahi jaake. And that's what it means to be detached. Sukh hai, par ode vaste sane nahi, there's no attachment to the sukh, but you've got the sukh, and then pair nahi jaake, because attachment is interlinked with fear. Hai, mere dhi putt nu kuj na hove. Ehi meri zindagi hai, this is my life, is my dhi putt. Oh my God, say if my child goes off. Say if my child goes off the rails. Pyareo, let's look at the children of Guru Sahib Ji. Guru Angad Dev Ji Sache Paatshah Ji's children. If we look at their sons, Guru Angad Dev Ji Paatshah Ji's sons, what did they do? They actually went off the rails so much that one stayed in Khadur Sahib and actually called himself the Guru and claimed to be the next Guru instead of Guru Amar Das Ji. The other son, they came and actually kicked Guru Amar Das Ji. But if Guru Angad Dev Ji Paatshah Ji was attached to them, Guru Angad Dev Ji Paatshah Ji would have got depressed at that time. But bache hai, tyagna kuch nahi, we're not to run away anyway. We're to live amongst all of this. So Paatshah Ji saying to us, and some people think the easy route is then run away, but no, Guru Sahib Ji saying, then how can I start training myself? And some people, I've heard many people, I think I've come across a family recently, and they're saying, yes, at the moment VG, they said we're working on our attachment. I said, okay, great. I said, what are you guys doing? And they said, I'm just trying to distance myself from such and such in my family, and just trying to, detach and not spend so much time with them now, and just trying to break that. I said, our Guru didn't say that at all. You're getting it all wrong. The Guru said to us, that where there is no fear of losing that. Guru Amar Das Ji Paat Ji, if you look at their children, one of them, Pyareo Baba Mohan Ji, they didn't accept Guru Ram Das Ji Paat Ji as the next Guru. And then Guru Ram Das Ji Paat Ji's son Baba Prithi Chand, he even spoke out against his own father because they gave the Gur Gaddi to Guru Arjun Dev Ji Paat Ji, completely gone off the rails. But there's no fear of holding on to Baba Prithi Chand. That's okay. Acceptance. Acceptance is the opposite. Acceptance, paane nu mannana, is the opposite to attachment. That's why Guru Arjun Dev Ji Paat Ji, sitting on a tatti tavi, sitting on a hot burning plate, but they are still singing Tera kiya meetha lage, har naam padarth nanak mange. They're saying that I still beg for that connection to Naam. Even this is sweet. But if they were attached to their body, then Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paat Ji never would have been able to say that this is sweet. Because then there can either be acceptance or there can be attachment. Where there is attachment, how do you know you're attached? You know you're attached because there is fear behind it. Kite kuch ho na jaave. Very clear, Sangat Ji. So, solution wal turiye appa. Here Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paat Ji saying to us in this slok, kende ke whether it be Gan, whether it be the servants, and the way I've kind of looked at this is to make it more relatable to us. And instead of going into the sakya of the gods and these angelic beings of these that have the abode in these heavenly places, instead of Gan being a servant, Sangat Ji, there are some that even though they might be serving somebody that is a holy person, somebody might be a servant of a sant, of a Gurmukh Pyara, but they're saying that this attachment sometimes is so raw and so strong that even crushes them, even as somebody that has become a servant. Sangat Ji, in which way? Meaning that even a servant, they can end up, instead of connecting to the jyot of that Mahapurkh, of that Sant, of that Pyara, of that Gurmukh, they actually have now become attached to the physical, to the physical body, to the word I'm looking for is to the physical, having the actual presence, the physical presence of that Gurmukh Pyara, and not actually the teachings that they have given him, and not actually the guna that they have given, not actually the qualities that they have given them. They've actually gotten used to having their presence, and it becomes the same way. Servants, those that actually do sangat and serve the sangat. Some people become attached to certain people in the sangat, and they end up doing the same thing as people in the sangat, the members of the sangat. They end up doing this, having the same attachment. They're supposed to go into sangat to actually become liberated from that, and they do the same thing with those people in sangat. And if they lose that person from the sangat, they become depressed. They lose that Mahapurkh passes away, they become depressed. Some people have even not been able to remain and have committed suicide. Sangat Ji, because that attachment, it gets into people, and so it's so enticing, you don't realize that if it's even coming into this situation now. So it's remaining alert. So we were supposed to instead become attached to what? Because the only way to break attachment is to become attached to something else. Paat Ji say to us, kende har tijdi lav man chau pya bairagiya Balram jiyo. Kende, to become detached, you have to become attached. Through attachment is your liberation to attachment. Is there something that we can attach ourselves to that will give us detachment to that what is impermanent. Yes, that is Sangat Ji, when we have that yearning to attach to that is the truth, that is always going to remain, and that's Vaheguru Ji. That's Sachi Pritham Tumsyo Jori. I've connected myself to that, and effortlessly I have disconnected from that. And Sangat Ji, the truth is, when that Parvar was saying that we're actually, we're trying to battle with attachment head on. I said, no, that's like quicksand. It's going to suck you in. The more you try and focus on the item that you attach to, the more it will suck you in. The deeper your attachment will grow, the deeper your fear will get of losing that thing. The more you tell yourself that I need to stop being attached to you. Saying that in fear, I can't be attached to you, will make you attached more. Because that's just the way it works, the nature of this mind. But instead, when we become Sachi Pitham Tumsyo Jori, when I connect my true love to Vaheguru Ji, that Vaheguru Ji that is beyond dunya, that is never going to leave, that always has been, that is inside of me, that is the true me, then Sangat Ji, then I will effortlessly become detached. Just like ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਸਮਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਉਦਾਹਰਣ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸਨ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਕਰਕੇ ਇਹ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਸਨ, ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਘਟਦੀਆਂ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ. Traditionally it worked like this, and it was a perfect example for back in the day, not so much today. And that example was this, Sangat Ji, that ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਧੀ ਸੀ, ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੇਕੇ ਘਰ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਆ. There's a daughter that lives with her parents. Traditionally, when you look at this in the villages, ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, and she is so attached to her parents, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬਸ ਆਪਣਾ ਘਰ ਪਤਾ, she knows only her house, she knows only her parents, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬਸ ਬਾਹਰ ਦਾ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ. She, Sangat Ji, is so besotted and attached to her family that when she goes away from her family and she has to live a couple of nights away somewhere else, all she's thinking is, what moment is it that I can get back to my home, back to my bed, to see my mum, my mother, to sit in the godi, to sit in the laps of my mother, to take my father's hand and put it above my head. She's missing them. और एक रात भी ਉਹਨੂੰ ਉੱਥੇ ਕੱਟਣੀ ਚੰਗੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਬਾਹਰ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ. When she goes somewhere else, she doesn't want to be there even she struggles to get through a night. And this is how it used to be. And then Sangat Ji, and then that time comes for her to get married. She's going to be wedded away now, and how much she cries and wells. And she's crying thinking that how am I going to live with this person forever when I can just about go away for a night. Sangat Ji, there's that same girl, that same daughter, she's now gone to her husband's house. She's completely given herself, devoted herself to her husband, and her husband as well, Sangat Ji. Her husband's showered her with love and cares for her, and is so kind to her. She now is besotted in his love. Sangat Ji, that same, she's now completely given herself to her husband. She thought she's not going to be able to stay a night there, but now months and months have gone past, and her mother-in-law says, "Tiye, peke kar reha kuch chir. Go and stay with your parents for some time." She's thinking, oh my God, how am I going to go and do that? ਉਹੀ ਘਰ ਸੀਗਾ ਜਿੱਥੋਂ ਉਹ ਜਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਸਕਦੀ, same house that she couldn't live without of. And now she goes back and she's thinking, ਕਿਹੜੇ ਵੇਲੇ, when can I go back to my husband? Because ਉਧਰ ਹੁਣ ਖਿੱਚ ਪੈ ਗਈ. Sangat Ji, that's the only way, is that man ਚਾਉ ਪਿਆ, when our yearning becomes for something that is much, much greater. The anand, the bliss is so intense that it is mind-blowing. And Sangat Ji, when we sit in Kirtan, when we've had that moment when we've connected, when we've listened to a Sakhi of a Gurmukh Pyara that has been drenched in love. And that moment, whenever that moment has occurred for you, Sangaji, it could have been in Kirtan, it could have been in listening to a Sakhi, it could have been you've sat on your own Amrit Vele at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, it's dark outside, you've closed your eyes and you've gone so deep inside and you are calling out to Vaheguru and everything's gone blank. You don't even know that you've got a family for that moment. For that moment, you don't even know that you've got a body for that moment. In that moment, you do not want that moment to stop. And in that moment, if a thought even occurs for a split second, you know what that thought says to you? This is the perfect moment for me to leave this body. If I have to leave now, what greater moment. That's why Bhakt Kabir Ji says, कहंदे जिस कबीर जिस मरने ते जग डरे मेरे मन आनंद. Kabir Ji कहंदे कबीर जिस मरने ते जग डरे मेरे मन आनंद. कहंदे that fear that people have got of dying, कहंदे I've actually no fear for it. Because I'm in Anand now and I know that Anand that I have found being with Vaheguru Ji, because Kabir Ji declared to the world straight that I have merged with Vaheguru Ji. कहंदे अब तो जाए चढ़े सिंहासन मिल है सारंग पानी राम कबीरा एक पै है कोई ना सके पछानी. कहंदे that me and Vaheguru Ji is one. कहंदे I went and climbed up and I merged with Vaheguru Ji. I sat on Vaheguru Ji's throne. कहंदे कबीर जिस मरने ते जग डरै मेरे मन आनंद. कहंदे this what people are afraid of. कहंदे I found Anand and I know Anand, this bliss is beyond this body as well. And Sangaji, you've had that. Somewhere in your life there's been a moment where you've gone to that place and inside has said that if I died now, it's okay. Because in that moment you connected to the powerhouse. When you give someone something greater, when they get the Jehe Ras, when they get that Ras, Jehe Ras, the Ras, that the true sweetness, Jehe Ras, what happened? Bisar Gaye Ras Aur. That everything else then seems so small. I say, not that pleasure, theek, but when you have a taste of that pleasure, then with that yearning for saying, I want that constantly, I wanna now mil hai saring pani, I wanna mil hai, I wanna jo pani sang pani, I wanna be, now you wanna be there all the time. Sangat Ji, trying to get rid of attachment will not happen. But that moment you've had, yearning to be in that Anand, which is Vaheguru Ji, forever, will automatically make you become detached. Then you're enjoying that pleasure of your child. You don't have to run away from it. Then Reman aso kar sanyasa ban se sadan. Pach is saying that Reman aso kar sanyasa ban se sadan sabe kar samjho man hi mahi udasa. Your udasgi comes from inside. But that's why one of the greatest ways to get to that place is Amrit Vela. We need to go to the forest of when it's dark, Amrit Vela, on our own. That's why Mahaprabhu Baba Nand Singh Ji would say, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਕਰਵਾਈਦਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਉਹ ਆਪੋ ਆਪਣਾ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you ਸਿਮਰਨ, connect to Vaheguru Ji, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ on your own, and then sit in kirtan with Sangat. Sit in the dark, Sangat Ji, just try it. No lights, nothing. Sit in a room, close your eyes, and let your thoughts come and just let them go. And just slowly start the Guru Mantra and and just know that there is nothing but Vaheguru Ji. And there'll be little glimpses of Sun Samad, of where it's just absolute silence. There's no thought. You're in full awareness. You're in Anand. And that Anand then you start to chase. You're not chasing an experience, you're chasing Vaheguru Ji. You're yearning for Vaheguru Ji. From that yearning will come the detachment. And then that's when you really know the essence of enjoying the pleasure of even your own child. Because there's no fear left now of losing it. Because you're now enjoying the jodh inside of your child. That jodh that cannot die. So Sangat Ji, आओ सच्चे पातशाह जी की कहंदे ने, गुरु अर्जन देव जी पातशाह जी कहन लगे, कहंदे हे गण गंधर्व गण Gandharv Singh Ji is those that sung in the court of Indra Devta, but for us that could be somebody that even does kirtan. But just because somebody's doing kirtan, they could still be enticed by this attachment, and even they could be stuck into it, stuck in that attachment for wealth, for money, and attachment to their voice that they've got, even to the way they can sing. And as they get older or something happens, they lose their voice, they hit depression. They're not the same anymore because they were attached to that. But when we're actually found that Vaheguru Ji, that love inside of us, then Sangat Ji, then it doesn't matter. There's no fear. Say if I lose that beautiful, say if my gala changes, say if there's a change in my throat and I can't hit those notes anymore. Attachment can get hold of anyone, even a kirtani. Sangat Ji, Dev mean the higher beings. Even somebody that is on that path of spirituality could get caught up in it, meaning, Sangat Ji, that if we don't live in awareness, doesn't matter where somebody is, somebody might maaf karna, ithe ede arth hone dev, maaf karna, dev, somebody that is living in satogun. Satogun means somebody that is very giving and charitable. They could still be stuck in that attachment. So somebody might get attached to that seva that they do. It's so fine the way attachment can entice you. Sangat Ji, like I said, getting attached to faces in the Sangat. Remember, Sangat has no face. Sangat are not faces. Sangat is where that Vaheguru Ji is remembered and we are connected to the truth. Manukyang, obviously human beings, those that live in this worldly life. We've already spoke about that, getting attached to the children, even animals. Guru Arjun Dev Ji Pachi is saying get caught up in this. Pankhi, even birds, bemohne are enticed, kende har karan harang. The one that is the doer, the one that has created all this game, karan harang kende har, that Vaheguru Ji karan har karan harang namaskarang, kende I fall at that one's feet in humility and say I surrender. Wow, this warrior, this attachment is so sly that I don't even get it when it gets a grip of me, and I only realize when I'm left there in pain. Anything that gives us pain, if we get into an argument with somebody that we are close to, a close friend, we get in an argument with them and then we get hurt, it's because of the attachment. Sangat Ji, there's attachment to our hopes. Somebody's got a hope, this person can do this for me, and then they don't, and then we get hurt. We get hurt because we was attached to our hope. Hopes are very natural, but being attached to a hope is dangerous, is what gives us suffering. And then the suffering from that hope tells us that we were attached to that hope. The expectation that we've got We've got expectation for people. This happens to so many people that are in an organization. That could be somebody in basics of Sikhi. In this organization, the expectation of somebody carrying out a seva or doing some form of, selfless service, having that expectation on someone saying, come on bro, can you just do this seva for me please? And if they don't do it, and because of their own commitments, and then we get frustrated. Why did we get frustrated? It's because we were attached to our expectation, what we hoped out of that situation. Attachment is bahut dungi ya. It's so fine and subtle. But when we fall, namaskaram means that I say, oh Vaheguru Ji, whoa, this is crazy. That then I say that I surrender to you, Vaheguru Ji, that keep me in humility. In humility, there is no expectation. I'm your servant. I do benti to you. It benti atade age. A servant has no expectation from their master, because whoever they put that request before, they see them as their master. And they benti karte. They put that benti forward, and then Sangat Ji, if they are unable to do it because of their own life circumstances or whatever it is, you're in total acceptance, because you didn't have that acceptance, you didn't have that expectation out of them, because you didn't think that, well, you have to do this. And that's where it gets all messed up in our head. We are attached to our personalities. We don't want to let go of our personalities. Attachment is it's got so many different roops, it's got so many different forms, the way attachment actually comes to us. Sangaji, we could even do another whole session on this, about the different forms of where it actually it comes. Somebody's attached to the bed that they sleep in. If they don't get that particular bed and they have to sleep somewhere else, that's it. They're in trouble. They've got this expectation of their child behaving a certain way, and they are attached to that expectation of their child being like that. And if they're not, they are hurt. They've got an expectation of how their child should speak to them. And if the child doesn't speak to them with the way we expect to speak to them, and then we get hurt, it was because we were attached to that expectation of how somebody should speak to us. It's all from attachment. That's why Maharaji has said the one thing that drowns us is what? Is attachment. Maharaji always talks about attachment. Why? Because it's in so many places in our life. So Sangaji, we have to surrender in humility, because in humility there is no expectation. Yes, there might be that hope they do it, but they're not attached to that hope. They're in acceptance of the outcome. And then Sharan Nanak Jagadishwara, they take the Sharan, they take the sanctuary of Jagadishwara, of the creator, of what? Of humility. Sangatji. So becoming attached to Vaheguru Ji, that having that yearning for that place that is timeless, having yearning for a quality like humility, of wanting to become the dust and the servant of everyone, seeing everyone else in that light, Sangaji, and then we will effortlessly start becoming detached from these things that we're trying to hold on to, that is causing us pain. So Sangaji, itniyan bentiyan prabhan karniyan. So I was gonna cover the next one as well, the Kamang, but that wouldn't do justice to it, trying to just fit it in a few minutes, because that is obviously a huge issue as well in itself. So Sangat Ji, forgive me for my mistakes, and let's do namaskar, fall in humility before that Vaheguru Ji and say, yes, attachment is a great warrior, but I know in your sanctuary, under the protection of humility, I can actually overcome. And when I yearn for the truth, for that doesn't come to an end, then I will become detached and become free and liberated. So इतनी एक बेनती है परवान, एक नहीं पर कहीं गलतियां हो गई हैं, अनजान बच्चा समझ के बख्श देना। आओ बुलाइए फतेह। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।